Woo! What a game, what a game, what a game, what a game. Good morning, good morning. Starting off Good Morning Nation a little bit later. It's still the morning, but it's a little bit later. And yeah, honestly, man, yesterday was tough. Yesterday was tough. But I just wanted to pop on live. Of course, not really to talk too much specifically about last night's game or yesterday's game, but just about the organization, about the team, what direction we're heading, our identity. But let me go ahead and hop right into the chat, y'all. See who pulled up on us, man. We got unknown Raider guy, aka Raider Jason. Excuse me. Woo! Excuse me. It's crazy windy today. Crazy windy. Gruden messed up with them emails that he sent years ago. Bottom line is he got caught up. I love my Raider Nation, but I don't blame the players for being mad at him because of the emails. I don't know if they're mad about the emails, man. We got Sean Donahue in the building. Gruden got to go. Yo, fire Gruden from Raider Purge. Hey, you guys are lit in the chat right now. Khalil King says, I hate that the Bears beat us. How we wanted to beat the Bears. Am I fair to say that? I mean, y'all fair to say anything y'all want at this point because as a Raider fan, there's no excuse. Or excuse me, not as a Raider fan, but as a Raider fan, the organization, Jon Gruden, there's no excuse. There's no excuse, man. So, however y'all feel in the chat, I'm gonna probably agree with most of you guys. There's no you know what I mean? There's no knocking anybody right now because when you go down, when you start 3, and then you go down your last 2, the way we went down, it's not like it's close games and we're going back and forth and it's a shootout and the defense is doing this and the offense is doing that. No, it's not looking that great. But we got Khalil King in the building. We got OG Fade pulled up on us. Sean Donahue pulled up on us, like we know. Ryan pulled up on us. Efren's in the building. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Eddie's in the building. Good morning. Good morning, brother. Good morning. Brian Rodriguez pulled up on us. Queen Raiderette is in the house. How we doing? How we doing? Raider J. Yes, sir. You already know. D Raider. Raiders for life. Let me go ahead and hop up in the chat. Say what's good with everybody. World Sap says GGG. Gruden gotta go. Oh man. Hey, we starting acronyms now. Look at that. Look at that. Mark Davis's barber pulled up on us. Whose fault is it when we have a bad O-line? I put it on Gruden. You think Gruden lost the locker room? We're going to get to all that, boss. We're going to get to all that here real soon. Casey Bourne, the line's not playing so good. Why not move Carr out the pocket more? Man, hey, Kevin Lurker pulled up on us. Morning Raid feeling beat up. Yeah, man. Hey, that's what I'm saying. We're going to feel a little beat up after these last 2 weeks, right? Especially because it's the Bears. We know, with all due respect, to a division rival, we know the Chargers aren't a bad team. Like, can we agree with that? Can we be realistic and say, okay, the Chargers is a good team, right? So you go out and you lose to them at their stadium, and it looked bad. But when you really look at it, we kind of came back and fought in the end. Tough game against the Chargers. But the Bears, like, think about it, y'all. The Bears, Justin Fields, like, they couldn't even do anything on offense. Like, let's be serious here. Our defense stepped up. They really couldn't do anything on offense. And it's our fault on the offensive side of the ball that we couldn't do anything. So we're going to jump into it, man. We're going to jump right into it. Let's see. ONT6 Soldier pulled up on us with a super chat. Shout out to my boy. He always pulls up. Big supporter. Appreciate you pulling up on us, man. PSA, Carr is not the problem. The O-line is they need to start playing as one. If not, we're going to waste a MVP year for Carr. You know what? Just to add to that, ONT6, just to add to that super chat, I want to add that we're also wasting a pretty solid defense that we haven't had. Like, let's be honest. We're wasting a solid defense that we haven't had. If we score on at least, half of our drives, on a few of our drives, we're winning these games. But we're not even scoring. We're not putting touchdowns on the board. We're not doing that. So not only would we be wasting talents from Carr, Ruggs is stepping up, so we're wasting that. We have a great tight end. We have a good defense. Casey Hayward is playing out of his mind, but he's older. It's not like he's a young guy. It's not like he's a young guy. He's going to be here for the next 3 to 4 years, right? We have guys that it's like, come on now. But let's not get frustrated. Let's stay level-headed. What's good with it, Joseph? What's good, bro? Raiders to the death, regardless of a win or lose. Yeah, most definitely, man. You got to stay. I'm always been a Raiders fan. I mean, this is nothing. If you've been a Raiders fan, this here is like this right here should be nothing to you. You know what I mean? Because if you've gone through from 2000, basically from 2003 all the way up until about 2015, 16, those years were way worse. So this right here is going to be a breeze for us. You know what I mean? Um, yep, GGG in the house. So let's just hop right into it, y'all. You know what I mean? Chris Gang pulled up on us. Leon Johnson here with us. Yeah, last 20 years. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You feel me? Jesse pulled up on us. Black Trunks. The Black Trunks. I like that. It's crazy. Silver Life Raw pulled on us. Fire Gruden ASAP. What he showed us was a fireable offense. Any other coach would be fired. I mean, that's a fact. At the end of the day, it's a fact. D Raider, if we beat the Broncos, I'll have some faith again. At this point, you got to think about it. We have to beat the Broncos, right? Or we'll be 500. We'll be 3-3. We'll be 3-3. We'll be 500. We have to beat the Broncos. There's no excuse at that. At that, there is no excuse. You feel me? But let's go ahead and hop into some of these questions, man. Because I know y'all got some questions. I know y'all got some venting to do. And go ahead and drop down in the comments what you guys want to vent. You know what I mean? I hopped on here basically just to talk to y'all. I'm not going to do like segment breakdowns. We'll just hop around and I'm just going to pop up on comments and see what everybody's talking about. You know what I mean? So let's go ahead and pull up some comments. Let me go back and see what y'all talking about, see what some questions. Is he real? 2010 says Gruden had bad play calls. Carr missed some key throws. Receivers dropped passes. O-line had multiple holding penalties. Sadly, the Raiders deserve to lose this game. And let's touch on that. Let's go ahead and touch on that, Izzy. Gruden had bad play calls. I think everybody can agree with that. Everybody can agree that Gruden had bad play calls. Like, the fact that we couldn't even move the ball at all in the previous game, and then you come out in this game and you have the same result, it's ugly. It's not a good look. And it is on Gruden. It's on Gruden. You have to put it on him because even Lincoln Kennedy, if you watch the Raider on Raiders YouTube, they put out a video with Lincoln Kennedy and JT. And Lincoln Kennedy says, look, Jon Gruden scripts the first 16 plays of the game. Why are we starting slow? Well, that has to tell you why, because he's the one scripting it. Either the script or whatever he's putting on the field, the plays aren't fitting to the player's the best ability, right? He's just doing whatever he wants to do. He's not calling plays that's going to fit to the player's best ability. And right now, obviously, the offensive line's not doing well, and we're not even running screens. I mean, I think I seen one screen that was the Brian Edwards real early, but after that, it's like, what else are we doing? I didn't see a bunch of screens to Drake. I didn't see screens to Ruggs, Renfro. I mean, tight end screens to Waller. We're not seeing different play calls. We need to get way more creative. And I know a lot of people have been calling for that we need a younger-minded, creative offensive coordinator. And Gruden needs to give that up. So it's going to be pretty tough. I don't think that'll ever happen, but Carr missed some key throws. The thing is, when it comes to Carr, I know y'all know I like Carr, and at the same time, I try to be realistic. And people say I'm a Carr lover, whatever the case may be. Every quarterback misses throws, y'all. I don't know how much emphasis I need to put on this. I don't care what game you watch. You go watch it when we just played the Chargers. We just played the Chargers, and everybody's on Justin Herbert's nuts. But when we played the Chargers, how many missed throws did Herbert have without a bad pocket, with a very clean pocket, with a wide open wide receiver? When Mike Williams burned Damon Arnett, was he not open? And Herbert missed him. Herbert missed Keenan Allen when Denzel Perryman was covering Keenan Allen. Like, there was several times he missed it. Mahomes misses several throws. Brady misses several throws. Quarterback's going to miss throws. So it's not so much that he missed throws. It's let's move on. Receiver drop passes. It's third down. Brian Edwards dropped the pass that hit him right in his chest. Like, it's harder to make a throw when you're on the run. The pocket's been broken down. You've been getting hit, and you have to throw it 30 yards downfield. Of course you're going to miss the goddamn throw. No shit. You know what I mean? But at the same time, when you do make the throw, you don't expect your receivers to drop it. But not only that, I don't even blame the receivers. Screw the drop passes. Screw the missed throws. And screw the bad play calling. Yes, I said that. Because the offensive line is completely to blame, and that's what I think. I think it's all the offensive line. All of it. I don't care. I think it's all the offensive line. You can't go out there and give up penalty after penalty after penalty. False start, offensive holding. Josh Jacobs runs it in for a touchdown, and then it's called back. Yo, we're at like the 2-yard line. We get a penalty. Now we're at the 12-yard line. Like, dude, what is that? You are literally breaking us down as an offense. You are literally holding us back, and it's the offensive line. I don't care. I don't care about the missed throws, the drop passes, the bad play calling. If the offensive line is able to block, I mean, shit. I mean, just not cause a penalty. I mean, screw not blocking, right? Because you blocking would be you just doing your job, right? But the fact that you can't even do that, you can't even do your job because you're having so many penalties. You can't get a rhythm, and that's where it starts. It starts in the trenches. And that's where it starts. Just think about it like this. When the defensive side of the ball, they had a bunch of penalties. The refs were throwing flags after flag after flag after flag against the defense, and that basically gave the Bears a touchdown. And I understand they messed up. The defense messed up with those penalties, but the defense isn't at fault because that was one time. That's one time. It's not a reoccurring thing. When it's reoccurring, that means it's habitual. That means it's a habit. That means you're continually doing it and you're not learning from your mistakes. That's one side of it. And that's the offensive line. That's not the defense. So with the offensive line, there's no discipline. And then it goes back on Gruden because he's the head coach. You have to discipline your players. You feel me? So let's go ahead and hop into some comments. That's my thought. You know what I mean? Let's see. Sacrifice the O-line to build the defense. Too much faith in Cable. Well, that's at the beginning of the season. Well, at the beginning, in the offseason, my two main concerns were the offensive line and the wide receiver, Raider Jones. And I mean, it's not really standing true because I feel like the wide receiver core has proven me wrong that they have stepped up in a way, especially Ruggs, Renfro, Edwards. We're still looking something from him, right? We're still looking to get something from him. But the offensive line, like we talked about, is not looking like it's not looking like that. You know what I mean? Terrence J pulled up on us. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You already know what the deal is. Raiders are on pace to allow 51 sacks. That's on the OL and Cable. Most definitely. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Now, I still have to watch the film. Still have to get the film, right? I still have to get the film so I can watch because I'll be honest. When I was watching the game, it seemed like there was times that Carr had time in the pocket with a clean pocket, and he still couldn't find anybody open. So I'm not 100% sure what that was about. I don't know if the defensive backs were playing that good to where they were just clamping up on our receivers. Our receivers weren't getting open, running good routes. Carr was missing guys that we couldn't see on the broadcast at the broadcast angle. So that's why you have to go back and watch the film and see, okay, what was really going on. But, you know, honestly, I feel like it was the offensive line. You can't get rhythm when there's so many penalties. If somebody can look it up for me, a moderator, someone look up how many penalties we had last night, please go ahead and drop it down into the chat. Find out how many offensive penalties we had. I don't really care about the defense. I want to know how many offensive lineman penalties we had. I believe we had 8 or more. Penalties. Alex Marin pulled up. Realistically, this team is not built for playoffs until we fix our O-line issues. Yeah, most definitely. And most definitely because you got to think it's crazy because when we gave up Rodney Hudson and Gabe Jackson, the first thing everybody was saying was it was smart. And, you know, everybody was saying it was smart. We got younger. We got faster. People said they weren't that good. People said that we saved money. I mean, we're fourth. I think we're fourth in dead cap space this year, right? I honestly think we are. We're somewhere in there. So we wasted a lot of money this year. And our offensive line sucks. Our offensive line sucks, and for some reason, we decided to let those guys go, basically walk away. And even if they're not doing that good where they're at or last year, I'm sure if they were with us, they'd be doing a lot better than what we're doing right now. So that's my take on it. I liked Rodney Hudson. I liked Gabe Jackson. Um, I wanted to keep those guys. I'll be honest. I wasn't really with moving on from them. I think the offensive line wasn't as good as it usually was last year, but I didn't want to get rid of them. And you could go back and look at my videos, and you'll see that I wasn't very confident in these new guys stepping up. But what's this right here? Bears. I mean, the Bears won. We didn't do good. The Bears won. The Bears deserve to say we won. The Bears deserve to say that, to brag, to do whatever they want. They won. At the end of the day, be humble. Be humble. Have some humility. You know what I mean? So this game had Washington 2017 vibes. Wow. Sean Donahue, I'll be honest, man. I felt kind of that way, dog. I felt kind of that way. It's weird you bring that up because I thought about that when the game was going on. I thought about that, so I'm glad I wasn't the only one. And I'll say this straight up though, I don't think it's exactly like that, but there was some type of weird contentious vibes. Like there was something weird going on. You feel me? So I don't know. Okay, so here's the question about the defense, y'all. Here's a question about the defense. How we give up 3rd and 12 in the fourth quarter, bro. That was tough. I mean, that was tough right there. That was tough. I don't know what to say about that, man. It was a bad play. I don't got nothing to say, dog, because I honestly I don't think that matters. You know, I know people are trying to rip my head off and say, how does that not matter? I don't think it matters because when the offense is so bad, it's like how many times does the defense have to get a stop? Like, let's add, you know what I mean, Swerve? Think about it, Swerve. How many times does the defense have to get a stop to where it's like, oh, okay, now we're going to look at this 3rd and 12 in the fourth quarter and say the defense messed up. Okay, yeah, I get it. They messed up. But at what point are you saying, where's the offense going to do something? You feel me? How many times was the defense on the field to where they had to go out there, stop them? Go out there, stop them. It was just like against the Chargers. The Chargers on the first drive came out and scored, right? The next 4 possessions the Chargers had, they probably had like a total of 50 yards and didn't score. But the Raiders still had 0 points. So what do you want the defense to do? Like, think about it, y'all. We got 9 points. We went for a 2-point conversion, and we didn't get that. Carr got sacked. Like, think about it, y'all. What is the defense supposed to do at that point? You feel me? So that's just kind of my take on it. I don't want to talk about the defense, really. I really don't, because the defense has been just fine. They held. Think about it. The first touchdown, they basically got all penalties, went downfield, and the refs gave them that touchdown, okay? They score again. They got 14 points. Why can't we get any points? It's all the offense. It's all of the offense. And let's not talk about the defense today. Today is the offense and Gruden. Straight up like that. But let's get to it. Dominique 5 pulled up. And he says, Raid, do you think Gruden should be fired? Now, this is a tough question. If you guys think Gruden should be fired, I want y'all to put the fire emojis right now down in the comments. If you don't think he should be fired, I want you to put the Raider flag. So if you don't think he should be fired, put the Raider flag. If you think he should be fired, put the fire emojis in the chat. Let me know right now. What y'all think of this question. Do you think Gruden should be fired? And I'm gonna wait for y'all. To see what the sentiment is throughout the chat, to see what you guys are feeling. About this. To see what y'all think about this. Now, as y'all put them comments down so I can see what y'all looking at, I'm gonna get to the super chat and I'm gonna get right back to it. So Francisco Pancho, appreciate the super chat, dog. He said new offensive line. Let's go ahead and check out Francisco offensive line, see what he thinks. Now he wants Miller at the left tackle spot, Leatherwood at the left guard. You got Martin at center, Simpson at right guard, and Illuminor at right tackle. Derek Carr sacked 15 times this season. Gruden lost the locker room. So we'll go ahead and tie this in with should we fire Gruden? Now let's go ahead and look and see what y'all talk. Let's see what y'all put. Fire. Yeah, man. There's a whole lot. Sean Donahue, swerve on him. Okay, Pete Rodriguez pulled up and said Gruden is not the problem. Wow. Okay. Yo, Ray, who would get fired first? Mayock or Greg Olson? We're gonna get to this. Ray Love, fire. Last year, crowd was for the defense. This year, crowd was the offense. Yes, sir. Tesla investor says, okay, so don't fire him. Dominique, fire. Honestly, I'm getting back and forth. It's kind of back and forth. It's heavy on the fire. I definitely see the fire. I feel like we're kind of frustrated because we're off of a loss, of course. Of course, we're going to be frustrated. You feel me? Noah Barron, if we don't make the playoffs, then yes, fire. Yeah. Most definitely. So let's go ahead and throw it up there. Gruden on the hot seat. And based on what y'all saying, he's on the hot seat. Now, what Dominique asked me was, do I think Gruden should get fired? I think, man, you putting me on the spot, and no, I don't think he should be fired. I don't think Gruden should be fired, and this is why. Hear me out. Gruden and Carr are just building chemistry, okay? And to take out this offensive scheme right now, based off with just what we hear and what we know, right? Is difficulty of building this offense. It's difficulty of learning this offense. I just don't see why it would be worth it to basically take it out now and then force Derek Carr to learn something else in the midst of this season. That's just my thoughts on it. Not only that, Jon Gruden is more than just the offensive guy. He's basically running the organization. Can we say that? Can we say so? You wouldn't only be taking the offensive guy out of there. It's not like we're just firing Bill Musgraves. Remember that? It's not like we're just gonna fire. So perfect. I'm glad. Look, LMN Pro is basically saying what I'm saying right here. Fire means reset. Y'all know that, right? That's what that means. That's what I was getting to. That he understands what I'm saying. You feel me? And I'm sure most of you guys understood what I was saying and where I was going with that. That's what it means. It's more than just firing a guy that's calling the plays. Gruden runs the organization. There's so many things he probably has in place that hasn't transpired yet that he's waiting on, that if you fire him now, so much is going to crumble. We're going to set ourselves back another couple years. That's just what I think. Right? But at the same time, how do we fix the offense? How do we figure this out? Exactly. Don't panic. So Pete Rodriguez pulls in and says, "Don't panic." Exactly. And that's why I was saying, don't rip my head off, but I don't think we should fire him, right? We shouldn't hit the panic button, because when we were 3-0, it was Carr MVP. I even heard people saying Gruden Coach of the Year. So I can't really sit here and say fire Gruden. Not that I was saying those things, but I wouldn't say fire Gruden yet. That's just my answer. I wouldn't want to fire him right now, because I think mainly it's the offensive line, and that's it. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's so much Gruden. I think we could be better if Gruden made better play calls. I think we could be better if we caught passes, if Carr made every single throw. Of course, yes, of course, I think so, right? But I think it starts at the offensive line. When you get those penalties, when you get those holding calls, when you get the false starts, you do not get a rhythm. We're in a 3-4, then we end up in a 3-9. We're in a 3-2, you end up in a 3-7. You're on a 2-yard line in the goal, we score, but it gets called back because of a holding call. Now it's 3rd and 12 or 3rd and goal on the 12-yard line instead of the 2-yard line. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I just wouldn't want to fire Gruden right now. You just have to let this play in. You have to let this play out. We're in a position to where you have to basically let it play out, and that's how I feel. That's how that's what I think about it. You know what I mean? Of the situation. We already at the bottom. I don't think we're already at the bottom, boss. I don't think we're at the bottom, Ray Love, because if we were at the bottom, we'd be like 1-4. You feel me? We'd be 1-4. So talk right facts. That was just a few weeks ago. Exactly. And it's been tough losses, right? And it's easy to flip the script. It's easy to think about something different and say, oh, okay, now we're losing. Now we got to do this and a third. But at the same time, you got to think when we were just 3-0, people weren't saying that. People were not saying that. I remember people were literally saying give Carr an extension now because at the end he's going to be worth way more. And then now after these 2 games, I heard people saying going back to saying, oh, we need to get rid of Carr and do this. So it's like I've seen the same person tell me one thing and then just a couple weeks later tell me completely opposite thing. Okay, so it's hard to sit here and go back and forth, but I don't really switch. I try not to switch the narrative. I try to stick with it until I'm completely wrong. And then when I'm proven completely wrong, you have some humility and you sit there and you say, I was wrong, right? And you learn, boom. But right now, I feel like I'm not at that point to say that because it's only been 2 games. When we started 3-0, like I said, it was one thing. We dropped the last 2. Now all of a sudden it's looking like woof. So J Dog says we are 1-4 because this is what our team really is. You know what? And I'll be honest with you, boss. We're close to that, right? We could be close to that, but at the same time, I don't think so because we've shown that we can beat teams. Confidently. We can beat teams confidently. And what I mean by that is when we were playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, we gained on them, right? We start down and then we get a game. That shows confidence, resilience, it shows character. And that's what happened. When we played the Dolphins, the same thing happened and then you let up. I think with this team, it's mainly psychological right now. It's got to be a psychological thing going on with the team, within the team. So, whoosh. Brian Rodriguez, Super Chase said, Raid, but how are you trusting someone who the draft picks in the last 3 years have been terrible? We are wasting talent. It's not so much that I trust Gruden, so don't get this misconstrued. I don't want people to get this misconstrued, okay? I'm not saying I don't want to fire Gruden because he's doing this good, right? That's not what I said. I didn't say I want to keep Gruden because he's a good drafter or anything like that. The reason you keep Gruden where he's at, the reason you don't want to fire him is because – just like LMN Pro said, right? He's more than just a play caller. If you fire him, it's a reset. It's a reset button. Gruden is not just the head coach. He's just not the offensive play caller. He's the everything, basically. So then everything he got going on within the organization is just going to get flipped upside down. We're going to completely do a whole different rebuild, I feel like. Not only that, the offense, man, you know how long it took for us to get to this point with the offense? And now it's dwindling down. But how complicated. Carr had to learn this. Carr had to learn that. Everybody on the offense, we had to wait for Ruggs to learn the offense in himself. Now you see Ruggs a little bit more comfortable, right? Jacobs looked a little better. He looked like he wasn't as hobbled up. But to Brian Rodriguez, I've said it before. I think Gruden draft picks are garbage. The only person that Gruden has ever drafted that I liked is Trayvon Merrick. And I'll be honest, that's the only person. That's the only person I wanted to draft that Jon Gruden has gotten. So when you bring it up about Jon Gruden and his draft picks, I agree. I don't trust him when it comes to draft picks. I don't at all. Y'all could go look at the draft reaction video when I said, look, I hope we don't draft Alex Leatherwood at the 17th spot because I feel like it would be a reach. And then what happened? Right there, about 10, 15 seconds later, as we're watching it live, my reaction was crazy because we drafted Alex Leatherwood, and I feel like it would be a reach. Now, that doesn't mean I'm saying I think Leatherwood's a bad player. But to your point, Brian, no, I don't trust Jon Gruden drafting at all. I just don't. But I think things have changed just because of the simple fact that Mike Mayock may have a little bit more say and Gus Bradley is there. So our defensive picks will be completely different. And I think our offensive picks might be still a little shaky, but you can't really say that too much because when you look at our offensive picks, right, and then you look at our defensive picks, by far our offensive picks are better. Can we say that? Right? You got Josh Jacobs, you got Henry Ruggs, you have Colin Miller. So those three right there are pretty solid pickups. I know they're all first-round picks, but they're starters. And if you take them off of this team, I feel like they would still be starters on other teams around the league, right? Now, when you go to the defense side of the ball, that's a different story. And that's why I feel like it's a little different now, just specifically with the draft. Look at our draft picks on the defensive side before Gus Bradley. With the first round, you got Cleveland Farrell, you have Damon Arnett, and you have Jonathan Abram. Okay? Now, with that right there, the comparison is completely different. Gruden has no idea what he's doing when it comes to picking guys on the defense side of the ball. That's why I feel so much comfortable with Gus Bradley being here because he'll make those decisions. And we've seen it with Trayvon Merrick type of picks. So that right there is something that we can kind of hang our hat on, right? So when we move forward, we won't be getting Cleveland Farrells. We would have ended up grabbing someone completely different than Cleveland Farrell if Gus Bradley was here. This thing about who the Chargers got previous years, Derwin James, Kenneth Murray Jr. You see what I'm saying? They're picking up guys like that. So, let me see. How do you do this? Let me see. Okay, here we go. Quentin Booker. Gruden gets up at 3 a.m. to watch film every day. How for our offense to look like this? I wonder what he watching. How does our offense look like this? I wonder what he watching. I think it's that's why I'm not too much on the play calling. I don't like the play calling, but at the same time, if it were to be executed the way it's supposed to be, our offense would just be fine. And to my point, I made this point yesterday, I think. Think back. I know you guys remember when we opened up against the Denver Broncos on Monday night in the Oakland Coliseum, and we opened up the game running it down the Broncos' throats. We were just slamming down their throats, just boom, boom, boom. We opened up with play action passes. Tyrell Williams catch the skinny post about 30, 40 yards downfield. That's how we were looking, right? We had the players that we needed. The execution was there. It was that much better. We just don't have the execution for what Gruden calls to be done right. Not only that, we can't even get the damn ball snapped on a decent down. Even when we gain 5 yards, we give it back because we get a false start. It starts with the offensive line. If the offensive line stops getting the damn penalty calls, then we'll be able to push forward. Then we'll be able to, okay, now we can do something. But every game in and game out, it's the offensive line that's giving us problems. It's giving us problems. So right now, after talking about it with y'all, after thinking about it with you guys, hearing what you guys have to say, I honestly put all the blame on the offensive line. Everything. I'm telling y'all, everything is on the offensive line. I jinxed this. I said, watch us draft Leatherwood. Exactly, bro. Exactly. That's the same thing I said. And it's funny because what's funny about that Efren is when I said that about Alex Leatherwood, we ended up drafting him. And then someone came back to me and said, you know what? Say the same thing about Trayvon Merrick. So I was like, you know what? I hope we don't draft Merrick because it would be a reach. And we drafted Merrick. So it was kind of like good luck, like a good luck kind of jinx thing. And we ended up drafting both of them, which was funny at the time. But man, oh man, if I would have known that, I would have said something else. Like, I hope we don't draft Rashawn Slater, and then Slater would have slipped and fell to our spot, and we ended up drafting him or something crazy. But who knows, man? I'm not that superstitious, but appreciate the super chat. I think Leatherwood will grow, so let's not knock him yet. But was good with it. Was good with it. Henry Ruggs and Darren Waller don't want to play for Gruden. I wouldn't go that far yet, Raider Jason. I wouldn't go that far yet. And the reason I say that is because we have no proof. We have no proof. We have no, we haven't, there's no subliminals on social media. Nobody in the locker room came out saying, you know, I was mad about this or that. When they did the presser on last night and Josh Jacobs went up there, Jacobs went up there and talked about, you know, the emails and stuff like that and said, you know, we're not really tripping. He talked to us. And then when it came out with a whole different, it came out with a kind of a different narrative. So it came off differently, you know. If you would have just read the emails, right? This is what the news does. This is what the news does. They drive you into a certain way, and that's what the narrative is. That it's racist. If I were to be like, dang, he got lips like Michelin tires. If I were to say that right now about somebody, the first thing you would think, it wouldn't be racism. You would think I'm just capping on him. You would think I'm just roasting, bro. That's the first thing that would come to your mind. But if I were to say that and someone comes out and they're like, oh, has said racist comments about this guy, blah, 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 and it's Michelin tires. It's almost racist to say that because now the person accusing that person is stereotyping that community. That's what you're doing, bro. You can't sit there and stereotype and then call the next person racist. That's how I see it. You know what I mean? You can't do that. You are stereotyping. You're literally stereotyping. When you take someone else's words and apply the stereotype to another group of people, you are stereotyping. Like that's hypocrite. Like you're contradicting yourself, or it's hypocrisy. You know what I mean? So it doesn't even make sense. Do I think Gruden's racist or anything like that? I'm gonna get this out of the way. No, I don't think he is. Did y'all see the video with Charles Woodson? I know if you're a Raider fan, we all love Charles Woodson, and Charles Woodson spoke on it himself. And Charles Woodson said, "You know what? It might have been insensitive, but I don't think Jon Gruden is racist at all." And then Charles Davis said it. Even yesterday's game, he said it. I mean, there's so many people saying that they don't think that. So I think they're trying to throw us off our game. But let's just stick to football, y'all. Let's stick to football because I don't want to get into that little pitter-patter politics and PC culture and canceling people and all that weird stuff. K King pulls up to 125. I agree with you about it being a setback if Gruden is fired, but letting him to continue to draft is also a setback. Most definitely, boss. Letting him continue to draft is a setback. But one thing I do want to say is hit them damn like button. Hit that damn like button. Hit the subscribe button if y'all new here. Most definitely. Appreciate y'all pulling up, man. And let's hop into it. It would be a setback. But it's a setback with the draft. I think the draft is going to, when we move forward, I think the draft is going to be different. I honestly think the draft is going to be different with the coaches we have in place. I think it's going to be different. Gus Bradley, he's going to control the defensive side of the ball. I just honestly, wholeheartedly feel he's going to control the defensive side of the ball. Gruden isn't going to sit there and tell Gus Bradley, no, pick this guy. I don't think Gruden's going to do that. With Mayock, I think their relationship is a little different. And I think when it comes to picking offensive players, they go back and forth. Think about when this offseason, they tried to say that Mayock and Gruden were bumping heads and that Gruden wasn't even in the war room when they drafted Leatherwood, which was a lie. It was a lie because then you go and watch the video and they're sitting there literally at the table. So I think they just be trying to blackball the Raiders a lot. The media hates the Raiders. They're trying to just break us down. They're trying to break us down and put all sorts of cloud and dust and smoke around us. I don't know if they're trying to pave the way for the Chargers because they're in LA. They're trying to make the LA teams great and build the fan base. But why all of a sudden this email comes out now? 10 years later, the guy that Gruden was talking about was being voted this week back into his position. I guess he needed to have 2 out of 3 votes, basically the majority. And all of a sudden this comes out, and it's only going to help him get more votes. So, yeah, I don't know if it's, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but it's a hell of a coincidence. Also, contradicting in the article of who dropped it, was it Washington or was it New York? I don't remember. Whoever dropped the article said that the NFL goes through these emails. That's what the article says. It says the NFL goes through these emails and they track them all. But then it said a reporter got the email and then sent it to the NFL. So it's like the NFL probably seen this and didn't do anything. I don't know if that's the article said. You can go check the article yourself. It said the NFL checks all the emails, thousands of emails. But a reporter got the email and sent it to the NFL, and then the NFL wanted to do something about it. So I don't really get what that's all about. But JD says, Ray, people keep calling Gruden's head. Mark Davis won't fire him. Unfortunately, Mayock would take the fall. Do you agree? Definitely. Mayock would go down before Gruden, but based on these circumstances, because of the way we're playing, this isn't a GM problem. This isn't a GM problem. This has to be a head coaching problem because there's no execution on the offensive side of the ball. And we all know, you know what I mean? We all know that Gruden controls the offensive side of the ball. Zach Bergeron pulls up and says, who's making the play calls now? It's Gruden. It's Gruden, dog. You know what it is. You know it's Gruden. Gruden is just not a good coach. 15 years as a head coach, 6 winning seasons, 117 to 111 record, 51%. Yeah, so he's just not a good coach. You know, I don't think he's that good of a coach, in my personal opinion. I think he has to have a lot of things in place for him to be successful. When you look at Gruden's Super Bowl winning team, right? People will say it's Tony Dungy's team. It's Tony Dungy's team. You know, he built that team, blah, blah, blah. I don't really buy that narrative because if it was his team, he would have won the Super Bowl with him. Like, let's be honest. He wouldn't have won the Super Bowl with him. He didn't have it. He didn't have it within him to push that team to win the Super Bowl. Now, when Jon Gruden came, they won the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl because of Jon Gruden, but it's not all because of Jon Gruden. You go look at that team. They had the number one defense in the league, and their offense was ranked, I believe, like 10 to 15 in there. So their defense won them that. Okay? Now, people will say Tony Dungy built the defense. Well, at the end of the day, Monty Kiffin was the defensive coordinator. Like, let's be honest. Monty Kiffin was the defensive coordinator. How many of these defensive coordinators do we know that branched off of Monty Kiffin? And who's our defensive coordinator right now? Gus Bradley. What was Gus Bradley doing when Jon Gruden won the Super Bowl? He was under Monty Kiffin in Tampa Bay. You understand? So, come on now. We have to have a good defense. And, man, at the end of the day, Jon Gruden's offense isn't working. I wouldn't say he's not a good coach because I think he is a good coach, especially a good players coach. I mean, Jacob said that yesterday. He was like, I don't think, he was saying how he thinks Gruden's cool and he's a players coach for sure. And all the smoke outside is BS. 13-18. Johnny Sosa got the running gun and the shotting gun with the Raiders hoodie. He said 13-18 and we get 3 yards. Who is to blame? Nobody. If anything, I got to go back and look. I would have to go back and look play by play exactly to see what's going on, which I can right now. It's a super chat. So I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to go back. I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to go ahead and look at the box score, play by play. Let's go ahead and look at that drive. It's 13-18 and we punt the ball, right? It's 13-18. Which drive was that? Which drive was it where it was 13-18 and we punt? Okay, so right here. I think it was 3rd and 14. It was the 4th drive of the game. So the first play on that drive, to answer your super chat, Johnny, the first drive. Excuse me, it wasn't the first drive. The first play of that game. We started on our 25-yard line. Derek Carr makes it past to Rashard for 4 yards. Now it's 2nd and 6. Derek Carr scrambles, gets a 5-yard gain. Illegal use of hands by Chicago's B. Nichols. But the penalty was offset because of Leatherwood's holding. So it's a redo downs, 2nd and 6. Carr sacked, -8 yards. Now we're at 3rd and 14. Derek Carr pass incomplete to Darren Waller. So then maybe that wasn't even a drive. Maybe that was just another bad drive. Look at that. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. That's how bad we were. What the hell? We had a 3rd and 14 because, perfect example, it's 2nd and 6. Derek Carr runs the ball for 5 yards. It would have been 3rd and 1. Not only that, illegal hands to the face on the Chicago Bears. So that means an automatic first down. with what, a 10 to 15-yard gain, right? Right, Johnny? But it gets offset because Leatherwood is holding. That's the offensive line. Kill the drive. Now it's third. Now it's reset, 2nd and 6. Give up a sack. Come on. You can't make this shit up. You can't. You can't make this shit up. Let's go to this. Okay, here's the 3rd and 18 Johnny was talking about. Let me pull it up. So the first play, we're on our own 11-yard line. Jacobs runs for 5 yards. Now it's 2nd and 5. Incomplete pass to Kenyon Drake. Now it's 3rd and 5. Boom. It's 3rd and 5, y'all. Brandon Parker, false start. Now it's 3rd and 10. Derek Carr, pass deep left to Hunter Renfrow for 17 yards. 1st and 10. Jacobs for 5 yards. Now it's 2nd and 5. 5 yards. We get another first down. It's 1st and 10. Carr sacked. -8 yards. It's 2nd and 18. Middle pass to the middle. It's incomplete to Darren Waller. Now we're sitting at 3rd and 18, and we throw it short for 6 yards to Darren Waller, and we punt the ball on 4th and 12. So let's go back. Where was the disconnection here? So we get a false start from Brandon Parker. We still get the first down. So we get the first down after a false start, mind you. After a false start, we get a first down on a 3rd and 10. So don't tell me it's Derek Carr or it's the receivers or anything like that, okay? Boom, it's 3rd and 10. We get the first. It's first down. Jacobs run for 5 yards. Beautiful. That's what you want to see. First play, first down, 5-yard run. Beautiful. Another 5-yard run by Jacobs. Beautiful. 1st and 10. Carr sacked. 8-yard loss. Boom. Offensive line. I'm done. It's the offensive line on both drives. It was me. I made a mistake. I was looking at the wrong drive. It ended up being the offensive line that screwed us over. I go look at the correct line Johnny's talking about. It's the offensive line. So at the end of the day, it's the offensive line. And that's what I'm sticking with. That's just how I got to stick with it, man. Shin-Chan, my son, 00 says, bro, even we just tapped the quarterback. Apparently that is roughing the passer. Yeah, man, we got to do better on that when it comes to those. But at the same time, I think the league's trying to blackball us, and that's my conspiracy theory on it. There's no way, bro, that you're always trying to find some dirt on the Raiders. Always. Always. There's always hate on the Raiders. Derek Carr is either getting traded. Jon Gruden is doing something crazy. When the draft was going on, Mayock and Gruden were bumping heads and weren't even in the war room. You know, it's always something, man. It's always something. We can never just win games and be quiet and keep our heads down. It's always got to be some news media outlet that's talking about something crazy when it comes to the Raiders. And Mac definitely threw up Oakland. How did y'all feel about that when y'all seen Mac was out there like this? Mac was out there like that. And that right there, that was tough. That was tough, but I really didn't give a shit. I'll be honest. I didn't give a shit because ever since Mac was traded, I'm a Mac fan. I like Mac. Even still this day, I still like Khalil Mack. I think he's a great player. Obviously, I don't know him personally, but I think he's a great player. But when he threw up the I didn't really care because I don't know what we were doing. We've heard Carr talk about in the pressers, hey, I thought we were going to be able to re-sign Mac. You know, I was with the contracts. Gabe Jackson was looking at the contracts. That whole draft class was setting up contracts so then we'd be able to keep Mac. But we seen how it turned out. We ended up trading Mac away. It is what it is. But DK says we traded our O-line for a defense. What's worse? I don't know. Honestly, I don't think we traded away our O-line for the defense, and this is why I think so. All we did was trade away Gabe Jackson. That's it. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. We're still paying Rodney Hudson. If y'all didn't know that, we are still paying this year. We're still paying for Rodney Hudson. So while Rodney Hudson is on an undefeated team, we're paying for him to be there. And I think it's $12 million. I think it's $12 million. And the reason I said we only traded away Gabe Jackson is because Trent Brown didn't even play. So trading him away was nothing. Trading away trading away Trent Brown was nothing. Like that was we had to. That was your hand is forced, and you have to trade. You have to trade Trent Brown. So that's why I don't count Trent Brown. I don't count him. He didn't play. He's not even playing now. He's not even playing on the Patriots. So we had to get rid of him. We had to cut that dead weight. Or what, we gonna keep him on the team and pay him what, 20 mil? You feel me? We had to cut him. So, and now the reason I say we only traded Gabe Jackson is because we're still paying Rodney Hudson. So you can't count Rodney Hudson because Rodney Hudson could still be on the damn team. He could still be on the damn team because we're paying him. So you're telling me right now, all we had to do was pay Gabe Jackson. All we had to do was pay Gabe Jackson. That's it. That's all we had to do. You're telling me you couldn't figure out a way to pay Gabe Jackson, bring in Leatherwood, and start him next to Gabe Jackson and Rodney Hudson? If you're still paying for Rodney Hudson right now, that means you only got rid of Gabe Jackson. Okay? That's it. In a fiscal point of view, whatever you want to talk, however you want to call it, in a capital point of view, fiscal, whatever. We only got rid of Gabe Jackson. We're still paying. So how would you guys feel if we kept Gabe Jackson and we didn't bring in let's say KJ Wright? How would y'all feel? We didn't bring in KJ Wright. We didn't bring in Kenyon Drake, but we still had Gabe Jackson. How would you feel? Like, think about it right now. Like, come on. Like, come on. Let's get real. That was a terrible mistake. That was a terrible mistake. We over here trying to bully people out of their contracts. You try to bully Gabe Jackson out of his contract that you gave him. It's not his fault. It's not his fault. But you try to bully Gabe Jackson out of his contract, and when he doesn't want to do it, you ship him off. And then what do? Because you do that, you're breaking the chemistry, and then you ship off Rodney Hudson. And now you put in guys that you don't even know. You don't even know. Like, yo, this is so much so. That's ridiculous. Good morning, Raid and Nation. Just wanted to ask you, say we do get rid of Gruden, figuratively speaking, who do we bring in as head coach? And that's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up, Exo Sounds, and I'm glad to see you pulling up on us because I believe you can only pull up so much because you work and all that. I remember you, one of my original subscribers from way back in the day, so appreciate you seeing you in here. Appreciate the super chat. That's a good question because who the hell are you bringing in as a head coach? Who? Like right now, who would you bring in as a head coach? I'm curious. Tell me in the chat. For everybody that wants to fire Gruden, what's good with it? OG Chronicles, Black Hole in the building. What's good with it? For everybody that wants Gruden fired, who would you want to replace him? Oh, I got my first answer, and he said, I just seen Ryan say Gus. Wow. Promote Gus. Look at that. Promote Gus. Gus Bradley could take over. This dude said John Fox. I don't know about John Fox, brother. I don't know. I wouldn't mind John Fox as a coordinator, but not as head coach. I don't know about that. Jay Gruden, you gotta be shitting me. Ed Hodge out here fucking with my head right now. Talking about some Jay Gruden. Hugh Jackson, interesting. I wouldn't bring in Hugh Jackson. Definitely not. Definitely not. Definitely not Cable Nick B. Definitely, I would. Shit. If we could bring in Coach Carter, I would. Whip these boys into shape and give them some discipline. Joe Brady. I've seen a couple of Joe Bradys. Jim Harbaugh. Art Shell. Tony Romo. Greg Olson. Hell no. Eric Barnamy. Y'all got some people in here. Y'all got some ideas on your mind. Y'all got some ideas on your mind now. Promote Bradley. Personally, out of everybody, who? Mike Jones. No, but honestly, personally, out of everybody, all of you guys said, how are you guys going to bring in some of these dudes that are already working, though? Tomlin? You can't just go take. That's what I'm saying. If you want to fire Coach Gruden right now, how are you going to go snatch a guy off of a team already? You can't do that. You guys have to. It has to be someone. It has to be someone. It has to be someone that's available. Exactly. This is the only option, and that's what I'm saying. You can't. There's no. You can't go snatch a coordinator off of a damn team right now and be like, hey, you're going to be our head coach. How you going to do that? Week 5, you're going to fire your coach and then go take somebody off. Y'all out your damn mind. Y'all ain't eat your Wheaties this morning. Y'all did not eat your Wheaties this morning. Honestly, me personally, you would bring up Gus Bradley. He would have to be the head coach. I feel like his vibe, his energy, what everybody has to say. Just think about it like this. The defensive side of the ball looks like their chemistry is a lot better. It looks like they have a lot more discipline. They have a lot more chemistry, and they're playing at a way better level. And then you just have Greg Olsen make the play calls. You would have to. You would literally have. That's the only thing you could damn near do. That's the only thing you could do. Raid, any one of us could draft better than Gruden in the first round. Think about it. Oh, I don't even got to think about it, Arch. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. You could look at all my videos talking about who I would have drafted, and all of them are way better than. When it comes to them late rounds, keep it at the Mayock because he stays up all night looking for them 4th and 5th round steals. I'm not finna do that. But when it comes to that first round, boy, when it comes to that first round pick, we all gonna hit on that. So I agree with you, brother. It's a no-brainer. It's almost like Gruden in the first round tries to outsmart everybody else. So he goes and picks. I don't know. I don't know what he does, honestly. Y'all funny as hell. You got Scout as GM. Docs, head coach, Honcho DC, Samoan OC. Y'all gonna have a Raiders content creator team. Them motherfuckers gonna be doing YouTube videos instead of practicing, goddammit. Y'all chill out. Carr could probably call his own plays as well, like he did in Fresno. Boom. I was waiting for somebody to say it. How would y'all feel about just having Carr choose the plays? Just have Carr run the offense. How would y'all feel about that? How would y'all feel about Carr just calling the plays? I think it wouldn't be that bad. What direction could we go? Could we get any worse than what we're doing now on offense? Let's start with that. If Carr were to call the plays, would it be any worse than what it is now? You know what I mean? Almost definitely, Shin. I agree. Gruden's not going to let him solely call the plays. But who knows the chemistry? I've heard that Gruden gives Carr a couple plays, and then Carr picks from that, and then he makes adjustments at the line. So it's almost like you get a look, right? You have a certain look from the defense. Now, based on the plays that you were given, you choose the play that goes best against the look. Then you make your adjustments within that play based on the defense or whatever you think's happening, whether they bring in a blitz from here or this or that or third. Carlos is good calling his plays when is in a clean pocket. I don't necessarily think it has to be just a clean pocket, although I do agree with you. I do agree that we look better. I feel like we look better when we're just moving, right? When we're just moving. 2-minute warning, 2-minute drill, 4-minute drill. It's the end of the game. We got to go score a touchdown. Stuff like that. I feel like that's when we play our best football. I honestly do. Omar pulled up on us. He says it was Chucky Eagle that got Hudson traded because Huddy didn't want to play without Gabe. We should have kept what we had Draft Cosme and firing Gruden isn't going to happen. The man is owed $60 million. Holy smokes. Good point, man. We're paying this man $10 million a year to be our coach, and it's not looking good. It's not looking good. But with all this being said, the sentiment's been a little down. We're kind of heavy on our team. We're kind of heavy on our head coach. We're going to go ahead and switch up the sentiment here in a little bit. I would do it like this. Let Gruden get his first 15 plays off. After that, call whatever play you deem necessary. I mean, I agree with that. I agree. But the thing is, that's kind of why we're starting slow, is because Gruden script those. Kind of, right? I don't know if the offensive line were to play better at a higher level. If the offensive line were to stop causing all the penalties, the offensive line were to stop snapping the ball over Carr's head, giving up sacks so many times, then I think when we come out and Gruden's scripts would be way better. It would be way better. We move the ball way better. So let's go ahead and switch up. Let's go ahead and switch up the narrative real quick, y'all, because we've been down a little bit. I know we're coming off of, I know we have 2 losses. I know it's been a tough game, but let's go ahead and switch it up real quick. And what I want to talk about is Josh Jacobs. Did Josh Jacobs look better in yesterday's game? Did Josh Jacobs draw, run a fucking draw? I agree, bro. I literally was yesterday's game of watching it. I'm like, damn, why don't we ever just run a draw every once in a while? You know what I mean? Kind of make that defensive line settle down. But yesterday, how did y'all think Jacobs looked yesterday? I want to know what y'all think. Looked better? Redder Carlos says, considering how bad the line played, he played amazing. Yes. I think Jacobs looked way healthier. Chris Gang says looked better. Yes. Efren, he did. 100. Most definitely. Town Business, yes. Brandon Riddlespringer, he did. That's a hell of a last name, brother. Your last name for sure. Need an offensive line for starters, yo. So he looked better. OG pulled up on us, said yes. JJ looks 100. That Jacobs touchdown that got called back looked good. Exactly. More agile, stronger, Efren says. Looked better. He looked 100% healthy. Absolutely better. So I'm glad that we all can agree. I'm glad we can all agree that he looks better, right? Now, with that right there, how come the offense didn't continue to go? You see what I'm saying? If Jacobs is running so much better, let's go check Jacobs' stats real quick. Because I felt the same way as you guys. I feel like Jacobs was running better. Shout out Charm City pulled up on us. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And let's see what Jacobs' stats was looking at real quick. And we'll see right here. Jacobs ran 15 for 48 yards. So on average, he had 3.2 per carry with 1 touchdown. Now, when you guys think about it, let's go back to that. Let's go back to that drive. Let's do this. Let's go back to that drive to where Jacobs scored that touchdown, and it was called back because the offensive line wanted to hold. Offensive line wanted to hold. Holy smokes, I've been on here for an hour already? This is why there's so much fun. It's time just flying, yo. Time just flying. I got my workout in this morning, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Got to stay healthy. Let's look. Which drive was that? We ended up a field goal, right? Ended up a field goal. Better but still slow. Kellen says better but still slow. I don't think he's slow. I just think I don't think he's slow. He's just not fast. Okay? He's just not fast. I want to say he's slow. Though. He got some quickness. He got some burst, right? But I want to say he's slow. Raiders center is a 59 in Madden. I just think that's so hilarious, man. How do you have a starting lineman 59 in a damn video game? Holy smokes. But let's go to that drive. Let's see how this drive transpired real quick. Give me a second. So I'm gonna break so we can break it down together. So on that drive, Jacob scored and it got called back. We end up kicking a field goal. Okay. First drive, we started on our 19-yard line. It's 1st and 10. Carr throws a pass, 12-yard pass to Brian Edwards. Beautiful. I believe that was the screen pass that Brian Edwards got. If you guys remember that one, correct me if I'm wrong. Next play, we start on a 31-yard line. It's a 3-yard run by Jacobs. Now it's 2nd and 7. Carr passed middle to Drake, 6-yard pickup. Hold on. Offensive holding on Simpson. That's a 10-yard penalty. Now we're 2nd and 17, y'all. 2nd and 17. We would have been 3rd and 1, but instead of being 3rd and 1, we're 2nd and 17. Derek Carr draws back, throws an 8-yard pass to Jacobs. Now it's 39. Carr draws back, throws a 29-yard pass to Waller. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, right? Think about that. Let's think about this for a second. We went from hold on one second. We went from 2nd and 7 to being 3rd and 1, but because of a penalty, we ended up 2nd and 17, now 3rd and 9, and we pick up the first. Now we're on Chicago's 39-yard line. Carr throws it to Renfro, 9-yard gain. 2nd and 1, Chicago's 30. 11-yard gain by Jacobs' run. We're on Chicago's 19, 1st and 10. Incomplete pass, 2nd and 10. It's a run by Drake. Now it's 3rd and 7. Off the left side, Drake runs for 8 yards. It's 1st and 10. It's 1st and goal on Chicago's 8-yard line. Jacobs runs for 6 yards. 2nd and goal on Chicago's 2-yard line. 2nd and goal on Chicago's 2-yard line. You can't make this shit up. Jacobs runs off the edge for 2 yards. Touchdown nullified by a penalty. Offensive holding by Brandon Parker and by Foster Moreau. Now it's 2nd and 12 on Chicago's 12. Incomplete pass, kick a field goal. Holy shit. So you're telling me right now that we had 3 offensive line penalties on that drive and we still scored. But people going to sit here and try to tell me how, it's something else. That's absurd. Don't talk to me about no drop passes. Don't talk to me about no missed throws, because I just went through it all. At that point, that means we had to overcome. How many mistakes did we have to overcome just to score a freaking field goal? Come on, y'all. The blame is the offensive line. It's the offensive line. Right on that 4th and 1 where Jacobs was stuffed, James got beat so bad he started blocking. He started blocking Leatherwood. You know what, boss? This shit crazy, man. Where's Hefe at? I didn't see Hefe. I don't block Hefe because Hefe's a big supporter. No, Hefe's a big supporter, man. He always gives views. He always gives, I don't know, he might give a thumb down. He might give a dislike. I don't know what the hell he be doing. I don't know what Hefe does throughout his day. But he always pulls up, and he always gives us a view. So, you know what, Hefe, you're welcome to go ahead and pull up and give us an extra view, but hit the like button. That's one thing you can do. Hit the like button, Hefe, and do whatever you want after that. So, yeah, for sure. Morrow don't block either. Morrow cannot block. You go watch that Dolphins game. Oh my goodness. It's tough. What bro say? He said, yeah, that right there is tough. How did Edwards drop that pass? I don't know. He got sniped? Right. He got sniped? Damn, y'all sniped Hefe? Hey, call it what you want. If the moderators, you know what, moderators, I'll tell you this, guy, moderators, just, it's Hefe. I know Hefe's a damn troll. I know Hefe's a troll. He's been around for a minute. He's an OG troll. Hefe is an OG closet Raider fan, but he's an OG troll. But moving on forward, moderators, just put them on silent. Let me be aware of what the hell's going on, and then I'll block the person, or I'll tell you to block them. But let's try to do it like that, mods. Let's try to do it like that, because I don't really like blocking a lot of people, but I know Hefe's a troll, and sometimes he need to go in timeout. Sometimes people need to get sniped. But Grew a bad coach, doesn't design plays for the player's strengths, always pounds that square peg, round hole, like with his misuse of Drake. Interesting, because that's basically my thoughts as well. Jose Reda Martinez, appreciate the super chat, appreciate you pulling up on us. But that's exactly what I think as well. Is that Gruden? I don't think he's so much a bad coach. I think he's just stubborn, and it's the fact that he forces his players to do a certain job that they're not good at. And that's what you're saying, right? Doesn't design plays for player strengths. And I think it's more of just Jon Gruden's mentality of challenging players. That's what it is. He challenges players to be like, you need to do this. You need to be this good. You need to get the job done. Beat the man across from you. That's always been Gruden's thing. I said it last year. I said, look, he's just always been like that. That's him. And I agree with Jose, Brandon Martinez. I agree 100%, man. I wouldn't say bad coach. I would just say stubborn coach. Which honestly, man, I'm not. Matter of fact, I can't disagree with you. Being stubborn is bad. You can't always be stubborn because it's gonna hurt you in the end. Hard head make a soft ass. You know what they say. So, appreciate the super chat, dog. Gruden needs to surrender play calling or find another job. We have too much talent for Gruden to sabotage us. Defense needs discipline, too many flags. So, most definitely, everything with this, I agree. The defense does need to be a little bit more disciplined. Way too many flags. Think about the Dolphins game. We give up a flag, we let them back in the game. We get a third, and we get that stop against the Bears late in the game. I think it was that someone brought it up earlier. What was it, 3rd and 12? We give up. Too many penalties on that drive that gave them basically the refs gave them a touchdown with all those penalties. I think Yannick hit Justin Fields and threw a penalty, which was, oh my God, bro, which was a terrible call because Max Crosby literally getting held all the time. And when Carr gets hit, we don't get those penalties. So it's tough. But I right now, I don't say anything about anything other than the offensive line because we can't even see what kind of team we are until the offensive line plays a certain standard. Say this is the standard right here, right? This is the standard for the offensive line. You have to be this good to evaluate this team. And the offensive line is playing like way down here. You can't even evaluate the team right now because the offensive line is playing so damn bad. Like they're playing that bad. You can't even evaluate the team. So, Gruden definitely needs to surrender play calling, though, bro. We've been saying that. But I'm kind of wishy-washy when it comes to it, just because y'all not mods. Mod me and Charm. What the hell? Y'all not mods? Why are y'all not mods? If you can, put the link to your page and put the link to Charm City's page in the comment, and I'll make y'all mods right now. Just do that for me real quick, and I will make you guys mods right now as we speak. Because I don't know what the hell up with YouTube, but sometimes when I try to go find you guys, it just don't work. So put that link in the what's it called so I could pull it up and I could find. But Charm City, yes. Charm City said we need to hire an actual offensive coordinator. Do we? Oh, man. It's tough. How do you guys feel about Greg Olsen? How do you guys feel about Greg Olsen and Tom Cable? Let's put it. Let's keep it there real quick. How do you guys feel about Greg Olsen and Tom Cable right now? Because before the season started, y'all keep it 100 with me. Before the season started, what was Tom Cable? Tom Cable was the GOAT at the offensive line. Tell me I'm lying right now. Tell me the Raider Nation, the sentiment was Tom Cable is the GOAT at offensive line. Tell me right now I'm lying. Someone call me a liar if I'm lying. But before the season started, everybody said Tom Cable was that guy. Am I wrong? Is it too soon? Also, that's another thing. Is it too soon? Like, think about it. My fault. I was checking something. But I'm listening to Mitch Renz while on here with you, brother Raid, and he said the Bears D was calling out his plays. If that's true, then yeah, give it up. You know what, man? I don't really keep up with Mitchell Renz. I a highly respected content creator, most definitely Mitch Renz. But I didn't hear that. You know, the Bears D was calling out his plays. Maybe they knew the pass plays. Maybe they knew the route combinations, and that's why Carr couldn't get the ball out. But honestly, every defense knows a little bit of plays. Like every defense does. Just like when the quarterback goes out there, right? Quarterback goes out there, he looks, he's like, oh, I know this play. I know this play. You feel me? Defense goes out there, they look at the setup, they look at the formation, they look at the personnel. They're gonna somewhat know the play. Defensive players aren't just dumb out there in a shell, and the quarterbacks are smart. It's not. Most definitely not. Defenses do figure out what the play is, and they'll call it out. Watch out for this. It's a screen. Think about it like this right here, Amazing Blue. Watch the pressure yesterday. Watch the pressure yesterday when Derek Carr was talking and he said, "Look, we were running a oh man, what was it? He said they were running a zone stretch or something like that, I believe. And then they were calling, but the defense was calling out a play like screen, 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 but they ended up running the zone stretch. So it goes hand in hand. The defense is good, and they're going to try to call out plays, and sometimes they'll get it right. Sometimes they'll get it right. But what we alluded to already when we went down through the play throughout the drives, it showed that look, we could move the football. It showed that. But then one drive we seen to where, damn, you get a penalty. Instead of being 3rd and 1, you got a penalty on 2nd and 6 after getting a 5-yard run. Now you got to reset and do 2nd and 6 again. You end up getting a penalty because you got a penalty by the offensive line. You got to redo that play. You're messing up the chemistry of the offense. You're not doing this good because you got to redo that play. You got to go out there and run another 5-yard gain from Jacobs. So, and you know what I mean? You could say, yeah, the Bears was calling out his plays. Yeah, whatever the case. Yeah, it could be. You know what I mean? Every defense, I feel like, does that. But they weren't calling out plays because they knew the plays. You know what I mean? That's just what defenses do, in my opinion. That's just me, though. You know what I mean? But go back down, go to the Gamecast or go to the play-by-play, and that's the best way to really break down a football game, in my opinion, is when you could actually read each play, and then when you read the plays, you go watch the play, and it really informs you of like what the hell is going on when we're driving down the field. And like we alluded to, like what we seen is the offensive line. When Jacob scored, we talked about it. We talked about it with the chat. I don't know if you just pulled up, but the chat knows. We went all the way downfield. We had 4 offensive line penalties. 4 offensive line penalties. And we still scored the goddamn touchdown. But it gets called back because of penalty. How that means our offense is good enough to score points, but the offensive line is holding us back. That's amazing to me how we get 4 penalties on one drive just on the offensive line, and we still put points on the board. Like, what does that say about our team? Like, that means our offense is pretty damn good if we just don't get penalties. So, appreciate the super chat, Mason Blue. Tell me what you think about that, Mason Blue. Oh, yeah, here he is right here. I was just saying if his play calling is becoming predictable, it's time to give someone another shot. But yes, the O-line is terrible. Most definitely, Mason Blue. And that's what I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with you. Is his play calling can get predictable. We know that about Jon Gruden because he has an old school fashion. But I think his play calling being a little predictable isn't hindering us. I honestly don't think his play calling being predictable right now is hindering us to the point to where that's why we're losing. You see what I'm saying? I just don't think that's the reason you put a finger on it and say, oh, that's why we're messing up. I just think it's the O-line play, giving up sacks, and the penalties. That's just where it holds. That's where it holds it to me. You feel me? Is Hefe back? The hell we got going on up in here? We got like 15 accounts or something. What the hell we doing? What are we doing? LM Raider Red. She says, I don't see Dog and Edwards. I'll be honest, I don't either. I don't either. But I feel like Edwards is kind of like a more of a quiet guy. I don't know though, but I think he kind of is more of a quiet guy. But you'll see when he makes a catch, he'll get pumped. But he needs to have a little bit more fight on him. He might have some psyche problems because of his injuries. Maybe he's worried about that. But I agree. I don't see a lot of dog in Edwards. I don't know if he's really that type of person. If he got that type of energy. Jake Parker pulled up. Monsters of the Midway. Jake Parker bear down. Do your thing, player. Do your thing, player. That's the thing. I don't really trip while people hopping in here. If the Bears won, the Bears won, fair and square. You take your losses like a man. You move on to the next game. Watch film. Figure out what the hell you did wrong. You got beat fair and square. It was that simple. We got beat by a Bears team that just starting a rookie quarterback. Like, come on. He was back there getting slaughtered. How many times that man had to go on the sidelines like, yo, I'm getting beat up out here, yo. Boy had an oxygen mask on his face because he was getting towed up. You getting towed up. I don't know. I think they just be making up random ass slogans. It'd be like bolts up, fins up, bear down, tighten up. Y'all got all the same shit. And they be trying to steal that nation shit. I swear. Other teams be trying to steal the nation. They be like, oh, it's I don't know. They'll say anything. Steelers Nation. I'm like, ain't y'all the terrible towel? Aren't y'all like Steelers Unite or something like that? They be trying to steal the nation thing. Yo, that shit don't be working, yo. That shit don't be working. Keep it with the bears down and fins up, bolts up, tighten up. Y'all all want the same shit. You feel me? Defense was gassed in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Well, I mean, even if they weren't gassed, even if they were gassed, who gives a shit? But I agree, Watts. I'm not saying this to you as far as who gives a shit, but it's just the fact that our offensive line, bro. Our offensive line is terrible, man. It's my guy Sanji. My guy Sanji. I can't wait to do the podcast this week, brother. I cannot wait to do the podcast this week. Because I'm down on the offensive line. I know my boy CNG, he's the offensive line guru. You know what I mean? I wish he would pull. If he had time, I'd tell him to pull up. If you could pull up CNG so we could talk about it, we could. I'll send you the link right now. I'll stay on longer and send you the link right now, CNG, if you have the time. For those who don't know, CNG, I don't know anybody busier than that man. And he still puts out content. He still pumps out content like crazy. So, mad respect to CNG. Everybody put a Raider flag in the comments right now. Put a Raider flag in the comments right now for CNG. Throw it up for CNG. Give a big salute to my boy. Always holding down. Bro, been holding down for forever for this Raiders content. So, yes, sir. We only scored 9 points, though. Exactly. That's why it's like, yo, 9 points? 9 points? That's it? That's all we got? Yo, Watts, tell me right now, Watts. Number one concern. Y'all let me know in the chat right now. Before we go, y'all could put one concern. That's all y'all could choose. Y'all could choose the offensive line. Y'all could choose Carr. You guys could choose a wide receiver core, running back group, Jon Gruden. If y'all have one concern, if y'all got one concern, go ahead and put it down. Because I want to know what you guys. My choice, my number one concern right now, my number one concern is offensive line. Offensive line. We got O-line from Watts. Ray Love pulled up saying offensive line. O-line 100% O-line coming from Shima 86. Brian Morales, O-line excluding Miller. No, throw Miller's ass in there. Throw Miller's ass in there, and I'll tell you why. Because he misses shit too. He be missing shit too, and he's part of that team. He need to push them other dudes to step up. Richie Incognito's not there. Rodney Hudson's not there. Gabe Jackson is gone, and Trent Brown's gone. You have Alex Leatherwood, a guy that's a rookie starting. You have Andre James in his first year starting, moving from tackle to center. You have John Simpson, first year starting. All this inexperience, y'all need to most definitely, you need to most definitely push them since you are the veteran. You did sign the contract. You need to be in that room telling them what's up. Yeah, CNG might be busy, but James. Okay, play calls. Interesting. Different one right here. Play calls is the number one concern for Robert. It could be. Penalties from right or red. That's a good one. You know what? I'm not even going to lie. That may be ahead of offensive line. It just might be. Because with that being said, okay, Sanjeet said 5 minutes. All right. Let me send my boy Sanjeet the link real quick. I'll give him his time. If he pulls up, he pulls up. If he can't, it's understandable. Let me see if I can send him the link really quick. Where is he at? Bow. If he could pull up, he could pull up. If he can't, it's all good. If he could pull up, though, it'd be for surely be fired. But I like this by LM Raider. And the reason why is because even if Carr gets sacked, I think we can overcome that. Carr being sacked is something we can overcome. I think penalties is what hurts us because you getting sacked, okay, that's the play. That's what happens. When you get a penalty, you run a touchdown, it gets called back. Not only does it get called back, you get pushed back 10 yards. So that makes it even that much more harder to just make things happen. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I think it's completely different. So penalties, definitely a good one. Execution. That this boy was thinking, you know what? Luis was thinking about that one. You know, for sure he was thinking about that. He was like, how am I gonna throw a twist on this? Oh, a good one. Dundee says leadership. Yes. And just to add to the penalties, and to Raider's point, it affects both sides of the ball. And an example of what she may be talking about, which I think she's talking about, is not only the offensive line false start holding the Dolphins play getting called back but the Dolphins get back into the game because of a late hit, right? It helps them move the ball. But let me go ahead and bring my boy CNG in here. My guy. How are we doing, brother? How are you doing?
What's going on, man? How are you doing?
Good. You good?
I'm good, man. Just getting this camera set up nicely.
Yeah.
Man, what a disappointing loss, man. What a disappointing ass loss.
Yeah, it's definitely disappointing. But my point, what I was just at with the chat right now was number one main concern for the team. And me personally, I think it's the offensive line, man. And I know you're the OL guru. I know you're very optimistic about this core. So what are your thoughts, man? Go ahead and give us a little enlightenment on this.
Yeah, man. You know, I watched the game twice. I watched it once last night. I watched it again this morning. The offense line was not great by any means. And there's no excuse. At the end of the day, the offense line has to get it done. And right now, they're not getting it done. I will say this. We did play better, in my opinion, this week than last week on the offensive line. At the same time, PFF backs that up, right? Last week, I think it was 45% pressure on average for Derek Carr on his dropbacks. This week, it was 33. So I guess that's a slight improvement.
Yeah.
Even running, like I felt like the gaps were a little bit larger. The holes are kind of opening up.
Yeah.
It still wasn't great by no means, right? Like, you know, we averaged 2.7 yards per attempt last week. This week it was 3.2. A little bit better, but it's still not good enough. And I don't know why we roll with Brandon Parker, man. I don't get it.
I mean, I agree with you there 100% with the Brandon Parker thing. And the offensive line is getting better. right? I agree with you 100%. And I said this last week. I said, you know, I think the offensive line is getting better. There are
Yep.
progressing. Andre James is snapping the ball over Carr's head. There hasn't been bought
Exactly.
snaps.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that in a facetious way or to be funny, but it's the truth. It's the truth. That's
Yep.
showing progression. It really is. So, and like you said, the blocking is getting better. The pressure rate is going down. But for me, the number one thing for me when it comes to the offensive line, and I was kind of saying this right before you got on, is not only is it the sacks, right? Because he's on pace for 50 plus sacks right now, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Which is like holy shit, like 50
Yeah.
sacks, right?
Yep.
But I think we could overcome the sacks. It's the penalties that's for me.
Yeah. Yep.
The
Yep.
penalties, I think, for me, is what's killing it because okay, say we get a sack, it's understandable. Every team's gonna get a sack here and there, but when you cause the penalties, right? We go down, we go on their 2-yard line. Jacobs runs it in for a touchdown, but we get an offensive holding call. And I was going over this drive earlier with the chat, and in that drive, Sanji, if you look in that drive, we had, I believe, 4 offensive line penalties. On that one drive, we still
Yep.
made it downfield. We still
Yep.
made it downfield. And even when we scored, we got another penalty and we ended up kicking it because Carr gets sacked.
Yeah.
Or not, no, Carr didn't get sacked. I think it was incomplete pass or something like that. What is it with the penalties, man? What do we have to do to fix the penalties?
You know, it's crazy because, in my opinion, penalties come from a player's just lack of ability, right? Rather it's the speed of the game, rather it's that player's not necessarily ready. And I see that with Alex Leatherwood, right? He's coming from college, he's going into the NFL. He hasn't made that adjustment, right? He's not seeing things mentally, he's not processing things, and that's okay because he's a rookie. But Brandon Parker, there's no excuse, right? John Simpson, there's no excuse. I believe we talked about it on the pod over the last 2 weeks. John Simpson wasn't seeing things. I didn't see anything on film. I got to go back and actually watch the film. Yeah. And that's the all 22 film, not just watching the broadcast angle. Yeah. I don't know if John Simpson had any mistakes. I know he did have one penalty. But we got to clean it up, man. We have to clean it up. And I don't know if Brandon Parker's the guy, man. I really don't feel like Brandon Parker's the guy. And at this point, I almost feel like our coaching staff is just being stubborn, right? Yeah. Like it's like the golden guys, right? The guys that they drafted. They want to make sure those guys work. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Move on. Get someone else in there.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Let me get to the super chat real quick. And if you want to answer this question, man, go ahead. He says, do you think it's a must at this point we make some type of trade before the deadline, left guard, right guard, fingers crossed, or do you think we ride with what we got?
That's a tough question, man. You want to say
it's like who's available though. Let's think about that.
That's
who's
the
available,
thing. That's the thing. There's not a lot of players available.
Exactly.
Now if the Raiders, in my opinion, I think the Raiders should roll with who they have. But I will say this. We decided not to play any of our starters during the preseason, right? We decided we're going to roll in and just let it be. Had we played our guys during preseason, injuries would have happened and we would have been able to make those adjustments before the season started. We're not at that point anymore. And I think that was a huge mistake by the Raiders not to play their starters. Guys are going to get injured. If Denzel Good was going to tear an ACL or whatever it is in week 1, he was going to do that before the season started, right? He would have done that potentially in preseason, or maybe it wouldn't have happened because he could have worked himself in, right? One drive, one game, 2 drives the next, kind of get ready. Either way, I think it was a huge mistake. I would not trade for anyone. I think you just roll with what we have. I do like Leatherwood at right guard more, though. How did you feel about him at right guard as opposed to right tackle?
Honestly, I just didn't see a difference.
And here's what he still sucks, right? Like, let's be honest, he's still sucking.
Listen, I say he sucks, but he's still developing, right?
He's developing. He's still his play is still kind of terrible, but it's not as noticeable because now he's at right guard as opposed to right tackle. So he might have a little bit more help from Andre James or from Brandon Parker, as opposed to being on the right tackle. They would just put a 3 technique over the right guard, and we weren't able to double team out there,
Yeah.
right? So Leatherwood was on an island. That wasn't the case this week. Now, I will say this. It's kind of interesting how when we put Brandon Parker at right tackle, the Raiders decided to chip more, to line up a tight end more often. Right? It seemed like they gave him more help as opposed to what they were giving Alex Leatherwood, and that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, well, first I'll go to your first question about him playing at right guard, and I think he was basically the same because there was one play that just specifically just sticks to me, right? It was Brandon Parker is literally pushing Khalil Mack like into Leatherwood because he's trying to go to the inside, and
Yeah.
he's pushing him to Leatherwood. And it's like Leatherwood, take him, like, dude, you have to like help me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he doesn't. He's like tunnel vision on the D tackle, and then Mack just runs free. Then the D tackle goes over to where Brandon Parker was, and Alex Leatherwood was like on nobody at this point.
Yep.
And then Mack sacks
Gets
Carr.
the sack, right?
And then the penalties. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, you're still giving up sacks, you're still causing penalties. Now, I would have liked to see him not give up a sack and maybe a penalty here and there. Okay, one or the other, but you're still doing both. So that's why I still think he's still kind of in that same atmosphere. You know what I mean?
Do you think that?
No, that's just how I think of it. Him at right guard. I don't really care if he's at right tackle or right guard. We just have to figure it out at this point. Me, I don't like Brandon Parker. We talked about it, and I kind of agree with you with what you're saying. I watched your film study on the offensive line as well. You also posted Illuminor snaps when he played us last year, and maybe we should do what you're talking about and move him to right tackle, maybe. And he'll do better. I don't know. How is that? Which kind of what you were talking about? Is that kind of what you were seeing? As far as like putting him over Brandon Parker, Illuminor?
It's kind of glitching for me, man. I can't really hear you. I don't know if that's just on my end or if everyone's kind of noticing that. I can't 100% hear you. Let me lower the quality of my camera.
Yeah, nobody's saying anything. But let me say. So who would you rather? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Basically, what I was saying is the Illuminor at tackle instead of Parker. Is that kind of how you would want things?
Absolutely, man. I almost feel like the reason the Raiders don't want to go with Jermaine Illuminor is one, he's not. I don't know if he's necessarily a better run blocker. I know he doesn't get the same push and that same movement that like Parker would get. And I know for a fact, like 100% fact, that the Raiders prefer run blockers over pass blockers, right? And that's unfortunate for Derek. It really is, because what that tells me is they would rather allow Derek Carr to take a hit as opposed to the other way around where you're protecting Derek.
Yeah.
With that being said, I think Jermaine Illuminor is a better pass blocker, and I think he would do a better job as opposed to Brandon Parker.
Okay. It's kind of interesting to think about it like that, but it's the god awful truth, and it's almost like, what are we trying to do in terms of offense? Are we really trying to be a passing team? Are we being so stubborn that we really want to run the ball that bad to where we'll change the offensive line to be more for the run game than the pass game, even though the run game hasn't been working? But with that being said, let's go ahead. We talked about this a little bit, but you just hopped on, so I'm gonna stretch this out. I'm gonna go ahead and stretch this out. You know what I mean? We don't get Sanjeet on the show. When you get Sanjeet on the show, you gotta pick his brain. How did you think? We talked about this with the chat. What Jacobs looked like to you yesterday?
He looked better. He looked healthy, man. He looked healthy. Yes. He looked better. I'm not the type of guy to say like we should have taken Josh in the first round, right? I'm not a running back in the first round type of guy.
Yeah.
Because if we had to pay Josh, right? Like, let's say he got $12 million when we do decide to pay him. Are we really going to spend $12 million for 3.2 yards per attempt, right? Or whatever the Raiders, rushing yardage was? It doesn't make sense to me. Without an offensive line, what is Josh going to do? You have to have that offensive line.
Yeah. Well, I think he was looking healthy. I think he was looking good. I'm glad he came out the way he did, because it kind of gives me a lot more confidence moving forward that, hey, maybe now that we've seen this little sliver of light from the run game, that we could push forward, through the rest of the season. Like, oh, now we can actually open up with the run game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now we can kind of help the offensive line when it comes to the pass rush because the run game is working. And I don't know if it correlates to penalties or snap count or anything like that. I would have to ask you, like, if the run game develops and becomes better, does that help with penalties? Does that help with the snap count, false starts, and holding calls? Like, does that correlate at all?
Absolutely, man. There's a lot of things that help, right? Like if you run the ball effectively, it's going to help Derek Carr, right? He's going to have more time, right? He'll have more ability to be able to deliver the pass downfield, right? At the same time, if you run the ball better, defensive linemen are not going to be getting upfield, so you might not hold because they have to be on the lookout for that run. You can take that a step further, right? And say if Derek Carr gets out of the pocket a little bit more, that's also going to slow the pass rush down, right?
Yeah.
That has been my biggest criticism of Carr in the past. And I think the biggest difference outside of the offense line for Derek Carr specifically, the things that I noticed to be the biggest difference was in weeks 1, 2, and 3, he was getting out of the pocket. He was making plays. He was throwing downfield. In weeks 4 and 5, that's been limited. So I don't know if teams are trying to keep him in the pocket. I don't know if teams don't want to allow him to do that. At the same time, the O-line isn't getting it done, right? And I think there's a lot that can kind of go around, right? It's not working right now. Whatever we're doing, it's just not working. I know last week, a lot of people blame the offensive line, rightfully so. This week, the O-line got a little bit better, and now people are blaming Jon Gruden. And I don't think that's necessarily fair criticism, right? At the end of the day, the offense goes through a quarterback. Derek Carr deserves just as much criticism as does Jon Gruden. And I think the O-line by far deserves the most criticism. You can't deny the fact that the offensive line's not getting it done.
Well, what your point to Jon Gruden is, that's kind of why I'm wishy-washy with Jon Gruden, because although there is some things where it's like, oh, why is Jon Gruden doing this and that? It's not like he's a terrible coach to where the plays are really that bad, right? If the offense were to block like how they were supposed to block, then the play, it would have turned out completely different, right? If Joey Bosa doesn't slap the ball out of Carr's hands, he hits a wide open Waller against the Chargers type stuff. You see what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Yep. Was that a bad call by Gruden? You see? No. It's not a bad call by Gruden. It's not Carr's fault. It's just the offensive line play. That's why I'm so hard on the offensive line right now and stuck on it, because that's just my thing. You can't cause penalties and give up sacks. You're doing both. And it's just killing drives. It's just a complete drive killer. Yep. And that's kind of where that's where I stand on it right now. So that's why earlier, because Gruden also could be deemed like, oh, is he on the hot seat? So do you think Gruden is on the hot seat, especially after everything that's transpired with the email coming out, dropping these last 2 games, the offensive line looking terrible? Where are you at with that as far as Jon Gruden being on the hot seat?
Yeah, I reached out to some players over the past week and just asked them their thoughts, asked them what they kind of thought. I kind of got the same sentiment from these players. I had 4 players reach back out. Two players were black players, 2 players were white players. So, from the 2 black players, all 4 of them pretty much did the same thing, right? Which was that they love Jon Gruden. They think Gruden's done a great job. He's a straight up guy, stuff like that, right? Like none of them said, oh, this guy's racist. He comes off racist, or he's a certain type of way. One guy even said, go ahead.
No, keep going.
Oh, yeah. So one guy even said that Jon Gruden's the best coach he's ever had. And this guy's been with, I'm not going to say which coach because people put it together who it is, but he's been with some Super Bowl winning coach. He's been on a couple of different teams, and he said Jon Gruden's the best coach he's ever had, right? And I don't know if he's being biased or what it is, but I don't think, Jon Gruden and that story, I don't think that really had any sort of impacts this week. Like, I really don't. In terms of, is Jon Gruden on the hot seat? I don't think so. I think, in my opinion, I think Tom Cable is more on the hot seat than Jon Gruden, which, I don't know if people agree with that, but, and I like Tom Cable, right? Don't get me wrong. But I think, when you look at some of the guys we had in the past, right? Just as an example, we had John Feliciano, right? Guard. He was our backup center. He kind of played guard a little bit. I think in 2018 he started 13 games for the Raiders, and he did a great job. And the Raiders let him walk. They decided not to bring him back. Football player for the Bills now, right? Things like that are really questionable. And I know we replaced him with Richie Incognito, but Incognito has not worked out yet. He has not panned out. His signing has been a huge bust, in my opinion. And I think that was a mistake, right? And at the same time, I think another mistake, and you can put it on Tom Cable, is starting a guy like Brandon Parker, drafting a guy like Alex Leatherwood. And I know development's a big part of it, but at what point do you not stick with these guys and do you move on? Like you and I, and for the most part, everybody has seen Brandon Parker and what he can and can't do. You line up Brandon Parker over Khalil Mack for a full game, and these are the results you're going to get. He allowed, I believe, at least 2 sacks. He gave up multiple pressures. He had, I think, 3 penalties, including a huge penalty. I don't think he was the one that held on the touchdown run, right? I believe that was Alex Leatherwood and Foster Moreau.
Yeah.
But either way, like, you know, you can blame Tom Cable for those mistakes, because I'm sure Jon Gruden allows Tom Cable to kind of make the decisions with the offensive line.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I don't know, man. I don't think Jon Gruden's on the hot seat, but who knows? It could happen. You know, you can also say Derek Carr's on the hot seat. You can say Tom Cable's on the hot seat.
It was Brandon Parker.
Yeah, Brandon Parker. You can even say Andre James is technically on the hot seat, although I will say Andre James has played much better over the past 2 weeks. You know, interestingly, there's, I believe, only 12 centers who have yet to allow a sack, and Andre James is one of those 12. He's given up 1 hit so far this entire season on Derek Carr. I know he's gotten blown up a couple of times. I know he's had some bad reps. But the last 2 weeks, he's kind of stepped up, right? We haven't had fumbles. We haven't had a ton of plays in which, like, he's getting beat and Derek Carr's getting hit. Realistically speaking, where's the pressure coming from? It's like that right tackle, left guard a little bit. Colton's done a really good job. So there's just a lot of blame that can kind of go around. I want to ask you, man, what do you think? Like, how do the Raiders fix their offensive issues? You know, because I remember us saying in the offseason that if we get an average defense, we're in the playoffs, and we have an average defense.
Yeah. I think when people were saying that, they didn't take in consideration, which I probably was one of the people that said that. I was one of the people that said that. Didn't take into consideration of the offensive line. I mean, let's just keep it real. I didn't really have the idea or the I don't really have an idea where the offensive line would have been after we let go of Rodney Hudson and Gabe Jackson, because we didn't really have that in our minds until it actually happened. It was just a surprise to us. But at the end of the day, I think the offensive line has to step up because we do have a defense that could stop teams, and not necessarily stop them to 7-10 points, but stop them enough to where we should be able to win games. And that's just how I think of it, man. I think the offensive line, if they stop the penalties, I think if we stop the penalties, we will be okay. That's just my opinion. Even if they give up the sacks, I'm telling you, even if they give up the sacks, I think we would still be fine if the penalties went away. I think we could overcome sacks. It's just the penalties fucking us up. That's just my thing, right? You go down, and I want to give you one example. I want to give you one example of a drive. And I want to find the drive real quick. And I think it was in the first quarter. And we ended up like 3rd and 14, 3rd and something, when we shouldn't have been. Yeah. But let me see if I can find it. But okay, here it is right here. It's when we got a field goal and the call got pulled back, right? And since you got to go here soon, so I'm gonna go ahead. This is gonna be my thing. I just want to go over this with you. So we started our own 19-yard line, okay? A 12-yard pass to Edwards. We get another first. 3-yard run by Jacobs. It's 2nd and 7 on our 34. It's a pass to Drake for 6 yards. But hold on, it gets called back because of holding call by Simpson. Now we're 2nd and 17 on our 24. Carr throws an 8-yard pass to Jacobs runs, or no, Carr throws it to Jacobs. Now it's 3rd and 9. A 29-yard pass to Waller. It's 1st and 10 on Chicago's 39. A 9-yard pass to Renfro. Nice. 11-yard run by Jacobs. Beautiful. Incomplete pass on 1st down. That's okay. 2nd down, it's a 3-yard run by Drake. Next one, it's an 8-yard run by Drake. It's 1st and goal on Chicago's 8-yard line, right? We run the ball with Jacobs for 6 yards. We're 2nd and goal on Chicago's 2. We run it again. Jacobs scores, but we get 2 holding calls. And now it's 2nd and 12 on Chicago's 12-yard line. That right there is what kills me. It's 2nd and 12. It's an incomplete pass. It's 3rd and 12. It's an incomplete pass. Now we have to kick a field goal. So that's why I feel like we could overcome the sacks, because how many penalties did we just have in that one drive and still kick the field goal? And there was another drive. I couldn't find it. But we were moving the ball, and it's penalty, and then a penalty, and then we end up getting a sack, and we had to punt it. So that's why I think if we stop the penalties, even with the sacks, we'd be able to overcome. But I'll go ahead and let you finish up. If you have any finishing words, I don't know if you froze up or okay. Go ahead, let you go with finishing words if you have to go and go ahead and close out, man.
Yeah, no. So you do a great job bringing that situation up, right? Because we score a touchdown and we have these penalties and then we're backed up. But even before we score that touchdown, like we drove downfield, right? And then even then, there was another drive in which we drove downfield. And instead of kicking the field goal, we decided to go for it, right? I believe it was 4th and 1. We decided to run the ball with Josh. But on that drive, too, we drove downfield. Like our offense was clicking, our offense was going.
Yep.
But it almost seems like we end up failing to finish, right? Against the Chargers, the same thing happened. We I believe it was 4th and 2, 4th and 3. We went to throw the ball. Carr throws it to Josh. He's not able to get the first down. But we still drove downfield. So it's not like we're just going 3 and out. And we are on certain times. But other times we're able to drive downfield. But it almost seems like we shoot ourselves in the foot on just on dumb, really, really dumb things happen at the wrong moments. Right? Like 2nd and 4 or 3rd and 4, the defense has a penalty that would have given the Raiders first down. But guess what? Alex Leatherwood also held. So now it's an offsetting penalty, and you're going to redo that down. All right. Yeah. As Mondo mentions, we got double flags twice. How does that happen on the 2 different times? I think on the same drive we get two double penalties.
Yes.
It just seems like we're shooting ourselves in the foot at the wrong time, right? I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm already seeing it. People are already saying the Raiders need to roll with Marcus Mariota.
Oh my God.
Marcus has to be healthy first, right? For the Raiders to even consider that. That too, is he going to even last the full game? I don't think so. And I think at that point, that would be a big mistake, right? Because if you put in Marcus Mariota, you're telling Derek you're not the future and we're not rolling with you, which is going to make Derek go somewhere else, right? He's going to go and sign somewhere else. The Raiders do got to get it figured out. They have to get their offense going because the offense is the issue at this point. Derek Carr has to step up. The O-line, hopefully it continues to get better. But more than that, like we just got to come together and really click. I think at different points we're doing well, but we just haven't had it all click and we haven't been able to put together a solid drive. I think there is still hope, right? The last 2 teams we played are probably both playoff teams, or the last 2 losses we had, right? The Bears are probably a playoff team, as are the Chargers. The Chargers are one of the best teams.
Yeah, the Chargers for sure.
And again, I think revamping the offensive line had huge impacts for the Raiders. And we'll see as they kind of play together, as they kind of get that continuity together, and we'll see how it kind of pans out. Again, I really appreciate you reaching out to me, man, and having me on. I do got to head off to have a meeting, a work meeting in 3 minutes. So thank you again, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate you pulling up. Until next time, CNG, say we gonna see each other later this week, man.
Absolutely, man.
All right, man. Later.
All right.
So y'all heard from the man CNG. Had him pull up real quick. Yeah, we're approaching 2 hours here. 2 hours live right here, and I appreciate y'all coming to talk to me. Come to let me get my mind off. Kind of vent with y'all, man, because this past 2 weeks have been tough, and I'm glad to hear what you guys had to say. Appreciate everybody pulling up. And until next time. Oh, hold up. Icy Nate pulled up. I want to say what's good with it. What's good with it, knock Andrew. I see y'all pulling up. Jeff in the building. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If y'all just pulling up, I'm about to get off. Appreciate everybody pulling up. Yes, sir. Ready to call us. And if y'all can't hit that like button on the way out, if y'all new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And as y'all already know, until next time, y'all, ready to take.